Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Mzansi Onsdare, Justice Unmuted. Today's testimony that I'm going to analyze is a testimony by Lesetja Senona, Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, looking into criminal infiltration into law enforcement in South Africa. Lesetja Senona is interesting one, head of DPCI in KZN, the Hawks, head of the Hawks, known as the Hawks. He said to us in this testimony that he met Matlala during his traditional wedding, and he gave a range of that traditional wedding, which was a bit strange. One thing for me, when he gave a range, a year range, like it was 2018, 2019, I was like, you definitely must know the year you got married, at least even the month. All right, so I don't know, because people always have a anniversary. I think when you are married, you have an anniversary of your wedding date. So it was a bit strange. People can forget sometimes. Some men can, but But anyway, he gave us a range: 2018, 2019, when he met Vusimuzi Matlala. So they met at his traditional wedding in Mamelodi. And at the time, we know that he was already the head of Hawks KZN when he met him. And he said Matlala at the time was dating a relative of his wife. And also said Matlala and his wife share a last name. So his wife at the time, his last name was Matlala, and Matlala attended this wedding dating a relative of his wife. So let's have a listen, guys.
You'll realize that I've never met Mr. Matlala because he's a businessman. My relationship with Mr. Matlala is not because he's running a security company, he's doing this. I am the head of the Hawks. Even there, I never said I'm head of the Hawks. I was introduced as the husband to my wife. Though, and my wife and him happen to share the same name.
He may well have been told that you're head of the Hawks. You don't know.
Somebody there, but not me.
Yes.
I can't say people those who knows where I'm working, but you'll realize I want to bring this under your attention, commissioners, that I have seriously huge successes in my province. I don't like media. I don't sell myself. People, they started to know me too much and my faces because of this commission. A lot of people didn't know who I am or what. Some might know the name, but they can't know the face. That is how I live. I don't like media. You'll realize most of our successes. I'll be standing there. If you know me, you'll see me from behind. While the provincial commission is addressing the media, I run away from media because I don't like publicity. That's one of my principles. Thank you, commissioners.
Sorry, just you said that your wife shares a surname with Mr. Matlala. Are they related?
I don't want to answer that question.
Why not?
No. It's not parcel and parcel of this. I don't want to.
But they share a surname.
They
you don't
share
want to say whether they're
They
related.
share a surname. I don't want to answer that question.
But she knows Mr. Matlala.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, commissioners.
General, if I may just ask, I think it's not sufficient for a witness who's asked a question to simply say, I don't want to answer the question. I think you have to say more. For what it's worth, but I think you have to say why you don't want to answer the question.
Commissioner, I hear what you are saying to me. Earlier, one of the commissioners said, hey, I don't know what my wife said. She also said that. So I don't want to create animosity in my own house by talking about the line of their relatives and so forth. Hence, I also say he was dating a relative of my wife. So this thing of related and what, I beg your pardon, I'm begging for your mercy. I do not want to respond. Allow me not to respond now, but if I'm compelled, I'll request to seek legal advice.
Yes, that's fair. If you're compelled, you will deal with it at that point. But I think what has to be understood is witnesses are not free to choose questions that they answer or don't answer without providing an explanation. The question of your explanation is a question of weighing whether it's a good enough explanation. We leave it at that point, or we make a pronouncement about it at some point. But I think the point that I wanted to make is witnesses don't get to pick and choose what questions they answer. You are here to assist the commission, and if you are asked a question that you have concerns about answering, you do have an obligation to say more than I don't want to answer. That's the only point I wanted to make.
Thank you, Commissioners. You see, I will say by virtue of the surnames, I don't think there is a relation there. By virtue of the surnames, I don't think so, because and number two, he was dating a family member of my wife. But now, when you look at the issue of the family member, maybe they might have been related through that relationship, but this one of the surnames, I don't know.
Thank you, General.
Thank you,
That's fine, General. I asked because you offered that evidence. You are the one who said that he shares the same surname.
Yeah, they should.
So that is why I asked that question. But I think, there's a relation, you said. And so that answers the question. We can move on.
Commissioners, our relationship developed over the years, and I consider him as a friend of the younger brother because he's younger than me, Mr. Matlala. You know, in our culture, once we started to develop a relationship, we don't know call each other friends, or you say call each other brother. Ukuti. So, as can be seen from the WhatsApp chat, Mr. Matlala and I will regularly check in with each other and would arrange to meet whenever he was in Durban or I in Pretoria. Our meetings were purely that of social nature.
So the arrogancy of Lesetja off the chart. If you can measure arrogancy, 0, humble, nice person, 10 is the worst person. Yeah, he's up there at the top. Yeah, it started with him not wanting to answer certain questions, evading to answer questions. Yeah, it was really a problem from where I sit. I find a lot of issues around his demeanor and his credibility about what he said, and he was evading to answer questions. He wasn't really answering any question, and he wasn't assisting the commission at all. So we know now that there is a discrepancies between what he told the General Lieutenant Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi about when he actually met Vusimuzi Matlala and what he told in this commission of inquiry. It is to do with the WhatsApp exchange that General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi sent to him after Vusimuzi Matlala's testimony at Ad Hoc Committee, where the parliamentarian went to the prison at Mampuru, where he was held at the time, but now he's been moved to this Supermax prison. Apparently, this one even has bunker under the ground up in KZN. All right, because of the safety fear of other prisoners, so they moved him there. So anyway, let's hear what Matlala told the Ad Hoc Committee about the meeting between Matlala and Lt-General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. That meeting was also attended by Lesetja Senona, the head of DPCI. This very person who is testifying attended that meeting. We first heard of this meeting. I was actually doubtful of this meeting when Matlala said it. Why would you trust someone who's waiting for a trial for serious crime and trust the testimony? I mean, you can get the testimony, but the testimony is of low value if you if you have to rate the testimony you get from the person like that. But nonetheless, the meeting itself, but the context of the meeting is wrong. It's completely wrong. And I'll tell you why it's wrong. But anyway, let's listen to the snippet of what Matlala said at Ad Hoc Committee about this meeting.
I was supposed to convince the person that Minister General Mkhwanazi and his team tortured to withdraw the charges against them, and also tell him that he must say the person who forced him to lay charges is Minister Mkhunu and General Sibiya. But who are these people who were threatening you? This General Mkhwanazi. In the meeting that was in Paris? Yes. So he threatened you there? Yes. And you had got a witness of General... Yes. Senona.
The issue around this allegation that was made by, Matlala, is actually scrutinized Senona. Because, lies, people don't yet lie. If people lie, it's a lie. Lie, it's easy to pick it up. It actually puts Senona in hot water. Because we're talking about the head of DPCI, provincial head, sitting in a meeting where an accused person, there's a quid pro quo between an accused person and the head of the police commissioner of KZN. And he sat there, said nothing, did not intervene. And did not raise any question about it. So why would a detainee, I mean, at the time Matlala wasn't actually arrested, why would be a person who was charged being asked to do a quid pro whereby there will be some exchange where certain people will be pressured to change or redirect their charges? And why was this done outside formal investigative channels? And why was the DPCI head present? No contemporaneous reporting that he made following that meeting, no affidavit found, no referral to independent oversight triggered by him. So, and that's what Matlala said. He was in there. That's why, when he was questioning that, okay, you had a general who was a witness there. And he said, yes, I had a general and Senona was there. Senona was my witness. This one here, it is still a lie. And I'm still going to explain why I think it is a lie, pants on fire. Not the meeting. The meeting is not a lie because General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is confirmed, and the meeting was meant to be a secret to protect. Later, we learn through a WhatsApp between Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi and Senona. After Matlala said this at Ad Hoc Committee, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi WhatsApp Senona about it because I think they had agreed that they're not going to disclose this meeting because it would actually threaten Matlala's life, and it was something that they had decided they're not going to say. They're not going to disclose the meeting. So after this exchange, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi WhatsApped Lesetja Senona about it. This is when we find a hell lot more stuff. First, before we learn about this WhatsApp, there was now an issue about Senona was very fearful to even read the WhatsApp from Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Let's just listen to that ridiculous exchange between Lesetja Senona legal team and the retired Justice Vusimuzi Matlala, the commissioners, about the fear, how they are fear Senona. This will threaten Senona's life if ever Senona mentioned this person that Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi mentioned in the WhatsApp. So they didn't want Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, Senona to read this WhatsApp. Huh? Okay, now let's go back and listen to that one. I'm not going to go through it, but guys, I just want you to listen to it. Crazy.
What's the fear? If that other person does get to know, what's likely to happen? What's that person going to do once they get to know of the mention of the other person? I don't get it exactly.
Sure. All right, Commissioner. So unfortunately, we do know that this person is quite, I must just watch my own words now, but this person is quite dangerous. And so just the mentioning of this particular person's name could put Major General Senona in quite a tight spot, just in terms of his safety. I think perhaps also we're considering, it's Witness D, whose life was unfortunately taken. So we are just a little bit wary of mentioning this particular individual, exposing him in these proceedings. It truly is a security risk.
And if, for the purposes of General Senona's testimony, all he is doing is to read a WhatsApp text not crafted by him, but a WhatsApp text received from General Mkhwanazi, why should that threaten him? Why should that pose a risk to him?
It would definitely threaten him, Chairperson, because I'm sure the relevant people wouldn't have preferred for him to actually even disclose the screenshot. But because he wants to assist the Commission, he disclosed the screenshot. But just for purposes of his safety, we just thought that those two individuals together, they should not be mentioned. So it was to assist the Commission, but I don't think that we must put Major General Senona's life at risk.
Just think about it. So they actually admitted that these cartels, they've infiltrated law enforcement in a manner that even a senior DPCI officials cannot safely disclose information that he received in the course of his duties. That there is a form of coercive control by these cartel, coercive power. They can, they have some kind of control. That there are relevant people that would not want his name being disclosed, that this person would not like his name disclosed. If his name was disclosed, there could be some retaliation. And that fear, Senona's fear, would now justify to silence a judiciary forum, an inquiry, because Senona is fearful of just mentioning the name Steve Motsumi. Reading it, not even mentioning, disclosing, but reading a text not written by him, No, it wasn't written by him. Just reading from it, it is was so fearful of that. How ridiculous! No, 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 no. This one was ridiculous. Anyway, we know that this message this WhatsApp predates Senona's testimony. It was after the Ad Hoc Committee, after Matlala disclosed of this meeting and Ad Hoc Committee, that's when Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi WhatsApp Senona about it. So it's got a timing problem. Anyway, let's listen to this whole WhatsApp now because the commissioner made a ruling that it's got to be read in totality. And you're going to hear why it creates a problem for Senona, this WhatsApp, from General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi in relation to the testimony by none other than Vusimuzi Matlala. Let's listen.
Hi, General. I trust you are well. You made arrangements that I meet this guy, Ket, because he is your friend and brother, and he needed my help to speak to Lieutenant General Kua to place orders on his contract. He volunteered an information about the house address in Sandton, where Sibiya collects money using the state vehicle, and that he paid 2 million towards Sibiya's purchase of his plot. He also told me about Sibiya's townhouse. The fact that he is the one who introduced our meeting to the Ad Hoc Committee and lied under oath. He invited me to make public the information that he gave me, which will put his life at risk. I am still going to that committee, and I hope he doesn't mind me exposing him to both Sibiya and Steve Motsumi. I hope you won't blame me for risking his life because I have to tell the truth about our meeting. If he thinks he can fool the committee, it's okay, but I will not say much but to simply play a recording of our meeting verbatim because I have the record. What is worse is that after you told me about the discussion between you and him regarding Nengi, I asked you about your relationship with him. I still don't know how the two of you met to discuss about Nangi care. Besides the voice recording, cellular phone triangulation and my vehicle tracker, including access footage, will confirm the date and time of our meeting. And for his own sake, I hope that those timelines are in line with what he said before the committee in relation to his arrest. This is the man who says he met you 7 years ago, which is contradicting what you told me, that you grew up together.
So, yeah, this testimony, unfortunately for Senona, Shadrach Sibiya, yeah, it disclosed a hell lot. It's disclosed this issue of Shadrach Sibiya's allegations against him that it's been repeated by other witnesses that Shadrach Sibiya and the relationship between Shadrach Sibiya and Vusimuzi Matlala. Yeah, and Katie Mulefe as well, another testimony. It's very serious allegations. So you could also, make some assumption or some conclusions really that perhaps some of the reason why they didn't want to read this exchange, this text, was because Shadrach to Sibiya would be disclosed. Because we know Matlala at Ad Hoc Committee had alleged that Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi wanted to implicate Senzo Mkhunu and Shadrach Sibiya. So, like I said, this whole thing looks like they had actually collaborated together to try and create a narrative, a different narrative but their stories has holes. Lies have holes. Just especially when you talk about events that already happened. You're talking about factual stuff that have happened, and it's easy to collaborate and find the data about it. So if you're trying to reconstruct something that's already happened, to try and put a different picture, the holes are going to be there. It doesn't make sense. Unfortunately for them, their story doesn't make sense. To Senzo Mkhunu, the Ket Matlala story, the Paul O'Silverman, all of them on the other side, their story doesn't make sense, including this testimony by Lesetja Senona. It doesn't make sense. All right. So they've got to try a little bit more to tell an honest truth, because it just now look like they are making things as they go. I mean, to say that reading a message from someone else, your life is going to be threatened. Now, the Steve Motsumi one, it's interesting one, because the next testimony by witness F sort of gave us some insight about Steve Motsumi's relationship with Shadrach Sibiya, Vusimuzi Matlala, and all of them. Potentially, Steve Motsumi is probably in the top ladder of the Big Five cartels. Of course, the head of crime intelligence has not disclosed the other members of the Big Five cartels because it's still being investigated. But we know that Vusimuzi Matlala is one of them, KT Mulef is one of them, those two ones. But the top one, there's a person at the top. There's speculation that could this person at the top be Steve Motsumi. The witness have referred to Steve Motsumi as Muswazi. We know one of the alleged person who many people are speculating could have been in the top of that ladder, died, and also was known as King Muswazi as well. This one is also Steve Motsumi, is also Mswazi, the nickname Mswazi. So they even they give themselves names. So Shadrach Sibiya is now the number one. We know 0007 is witness F. Yeah. Yo. I mean, all of this is because of Lieutenant Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's bravery for disclosing all this information in public. I want to know those people who were saying that, oh, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi shouldn't have disclosed this thing in public. What are they saying now? What are your thoughts now when you hear this stuff? You still say that this thing shouldn't have been disclosed? That South African public shouldn't have known that the government is working for the cartels, not for them? What are you talking about? Huh? That there's huge people who have infiltrated the government, the judiciary system. And unfortunately, the testimony which I will actually analyze for witness F, actually implicate the judiciary, the very same judiciary that came out when these allegations were made public by Lieutenant Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi and said, it's not us, we're not involved with the cartel. That arrest of that young influencer, it's questionable, potentially illegal. I'm going to talk about it later, guys. If you've been listening to it, yeah, it's very concerning, that one too, because it's implicated the judiciary there as well. Right there. Okay, thank you guys for listening. This, as always, these ones are testimony from the judiciary inquiry, and people made allegations about certain events. And judiciary inquiry, its purpose, it's really about finding out the truth. And if there are serious criminality, as has been alleged, they get referred for investigations. We now know certain people have been referred for investigations, including Lesetja Senona. which I was a bit surprised. Why? Because he hadn't testified, but he was already referred for further investigations as well. And we know that he also shared very sensitive, compromising information between himself and Matlala. So Matlala had information about Cyril Ramaphosa, and we learned about that information in the last testimony for a certain witness that disclosed this. And we saw that Cyril Ramaphosa had 3 identification numbers. Normally, a person needs to have just one. It's yours forever from birth, forever yours. Okay, identify you, the person. Cyril Ramaphosa had 3, apparently, according to that testimony. And we know because Matlala had WhatsApp the very same sensitive information to Lesetja Senona. So Cyril, unhappy about it, and decided that this Senona needed to be investigated too. However, for Cyril, it seemed to be very selective because Senzo Mkhunu is still on a paycheck. Senzo Mkhunu should have been fired by now, but Senzo Mkhunu still receive money paid by you, South African taxpayer. All right, Senzo Mkhunu, we heard from witness E that he's busy trying to also influence the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, trying to undermine the very same Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. But Senzo Mkhunu is the lucky one because nothing so far has happened to him, despite being the person who actually created this whole thing. It's because the reason why I suspect why Senzo Mkhunu had, sort of like being left there is because Senzo Mkhunu protected Cyril Ramaphosa against the Phala. Yeah, Senzo Mkhunu could disclose compromising information about him. So the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, would never dare, he will never dare say you are fired, Senzo Mkhunu. He will still continue to do this shenanigan. But on the other side, the ANC will not be ruling South Africa for a very long time, if ever. That is my bet. They will not. These cracks were starting to emerge in the first Ramaphosa administration. So now, Senzo Mkhunu will still be there. Ramaphosa is weak and will never dare and pick up a phone call and say, you are dismissed. You'll never say that. But other people who are implicated through this Madlanga Commission of Inquiry would still be referred to. Some, and notably Shadrach Sibiya, despite him being so severely implicated, he's not been there because Shadrach Sibiya is the part of the cartels, and the cartels are linked to, the ANC and the Cyril and all of them, if you haven't noticed. Witness F, there's some serious allegation about the late deputy president that was disclosed during the testimony of witness F. So you can see that Shadrach Sibiya has been left there and Senzo Mkhunu for a specific reason. These are the people that protected him. So Cyril is protecting them while bearing ANC. He's protecting them while ANC is buried. We are now going to have to start preparing for the funeral of ANC because I cannot see it. I cannot see South Africans voting for ANC ever. I mean, I'm saying as a ruling government. It will still be other parties. There's many of them. But we can see other parties that are starting to emerge out of this chaos, and that DA is not going to take over. DA is so idiotic. They don't have a strategy. They're like the ANC. They're not a party that's similar to ANC. So other parties that have political strategies, so Action SA and others, they're likely to benefit from this. They're likely to emerge as the credible opposition that likely to take over from this madness, save South Africa from this cartel, from this nonsensical, idiotic of the ruling ANC and the DA government. So they are the same. Okay, Shadrach Sibiya is still as a person that works on both parties. He's been protected. The person who is alleged to have doing all of this shenanigans stuff is left there for a reason, because they're now protecting him because he protected them too. Cry, my beloved country, cry. See you next time, guys.